Hey Mini enthusiasts, how you doing? Hope you're all having a great day. Welcome back. And today is going to be a bit of an update on PL. So I haven't really touched PL for ages. I think the last thing I've done on it was the head gasket and the Evans waterless coolant. It's not been taxed. The MOT is due on it in a couple of weeks' time, and I plan to have this and Project Sprout on the road this year. It's difficult getting motivation at the moment because there's no shows to go to or anything like that. There's a few cruises going on and that. I haven't done one, but I just need to get the motivation back. So I've had quite a few weeks, to be honest. I've done barely nothing on the minis. I've been driving Sprout around quite a bit. Kind of enjoyed doing that. I've done the reverse light switch on Sprout, and I've just been doing some other stuff. So weather's been nice. I've been out playing golf. I haven't been playing golf for ages. My other hobbies are VR and PC gaming. So I've been completing Half-Life Alyx and doing a few other things. And yeah, it's just time to get back motivated on the minis again. So what we're going to do on PR today is get it out. I'm going to try and have a rearrange in the workshop, because at the moment, the way the cars are laid out, it's okay to have one car usable. But if I want to get this out and it's over in that corner, I have to move Vinny first, and it's just a flipping nightmare. And long term, I really need to decide what I'm going to do with Vinny. I don't want to sell it, but it just seems pointless having 3 minis. It really does. And I keep thinking about another project. Should I sell it? Should I swap it with someone? I'll probably get another mini anyway. But anyway, let's stop waffling on. Today, we're gonna clay bar PR. Now, it probably looks really nice and really clean, and it is clean, but the surface of it is really rough. It's literally like, probably exaggerating a bit, but I've got some sort of 3000 wet and dry in there, and the surface feels like you're rubbing hands over that. Now, although all the cars were covered while I was working on Project Sprout, just fine particles of dust gets underneath the covers. It sits on the paint, and just by washing it doesn't take it off. Old sort of methods would be to tea-cut it, but every time you tea-cut it, you're taking a thin layer of paint off, and eventually you end up with no paint. I discovered clay bars probably about, I don't know, probably 10 years ago now. These are brilliant, and I really recommend this kit. I use this every year on all the minis, especially if I've been working in the garage. Clay bar is odd, so it is like feels like a lump of plasticine, and you use a lubricant with it. They give you some quick detailer on this, which acts as a lubricant. You spray it on the paintwork, you wipe over the clay, and it just takes out the contaminants without any abrasive action on the paint. It is absolutely phenomenal, and you can feel the difference instantly. Like, I feel the bonnet now, it feels rough. Once I've clay barred it, it is smooth as anything. And aside from that, each year for my sort of show prep, once the cars are obviously clean, they get clay barred each year, and then they get a coating of Maguiars Ultimate Paste Wax. That stuff lasts a year. In fact, it lasts longer than a year, but I do that at the beginning of the show season, clay bar it, ultimate wax it. That's good for the rest of the season. Then it's just a quick wash off. I might use some quick detailer on it or something like that. So anyway, let's get this done, and I'll maybe show you a bit of this, but I really highly recommend using this stuff. It's really good. Right, so this is what I'm thinking, is having Vinny this way round like that, and then obviously having one mini here and one mini here. The one over here will be quite tight. I've always done it the other way round because it leaves me more room at the front, but I don't think I need it. If I look down the side there, that gives me plenty of room to get my toolboxes open, get to everything I need to get to. Obviously it'll be covered up. I'll get the other minis in and try it. If you're new to the channel and you've not seen Vinny before, so this is Vinny. It's called Vinny because it's a Vauxhall engined mini. It's had lots and lots of modifications done to it. So it's not a Cooper, it's actually a 1994 Rover Mini Sprite, and it was a 1275 automatic. Some of the main features, it's got a carbon fibre roof, it still has the metal roof underneath, it's got a roll bar in it, It's got bucket seat, Cobra bucket seat, Sparco harnesses. It's got a digital dash. It's only done 35,000 miles, believe it or not. And let me show you under the bonnet. And under the bonnet is kind of its party trick. So it's a Vauxhall C16 SE engine. So it's a 1.6 litre, 8 valve. It's got a 5-speed gearbox in it. It's 100 brake horsepower, and I think it's 100 foot-pounds of torque. It is really nice to drive. It's pretty quick. Externally, it looks pretty standard when you shut the bonnet. So I say standard, it doesn't look like it'd have a Vauxhall engine in it. It goes very well. I've often thought about selling it. I've had it, I think, 8 or 9 years now. Guess I kind of get a bit bored of it, but I can just never bring myself to do it. And there's that bit, it's so modified and it's had so much done to it that I just don't want to. I've pretty much replaced every nut, bolt, washer, everything on this car. It's got lovely 8.4 inch vented Mini Sport Paddy Hopkirk calipers on it with EBC green stuff pads, and it's all new. All the front subframe is new, all the rear subframe, all the brakes, everything is all new. If anything, the only thing that's not great about it is the bodywork is just getting a bit tatty now. It's not rusty, it needs a full respray really to be perfect. Right, well there we go. I've just tried that. That does seem to be much better. The camera is on super zoom at the moment, so you get this fisheye effect. So it does make it look a bit bigger than it actually is, but there is still plenty of space. Since I moved in, since I had this garage, I've only ever tried it in that configuration with having Vinny that way round, but at the front, and then Piao at the back, like where Sprout is at the moment. The problem with that is you can only get one car out at a time. And if you want to get the car out behind, I have to pull it forward, I have to jack it up, I have to swing the back end around like this, because I've got double doors. That means if I've got Sprout and Piao, both taxed and MOT'd and insured, I can get them out with ease. So I'm quite pleased about that. Maybe that is the way forward. It's still, you know, even if I was working on this, I've still got plenty of room around it. In fact, if anything, it's probably a little bit better. Yeah, it gives me more room down this side and I can still get to everything. So yeah, that works quite well. Right, this might seem a bit mad, but it actually works quite well on a Mini. So I've got a vacuum cleaner that sucks and blows as well. So it's actually really useful for blowing the water off on a Mini. As you know, water collects in all the channels around the gaps in the windscreen and everything like that. And because the paintwork is so rough on this, I want to non-contact wash it. I don't want to touch it. So I don't want to touch it. I've got some microfiber towels, but I think even that, dragging it over it, will start to scratch it. So I'm just going to blow, or I have started blowing all the water off. I'll let it dry and then we'll clay bar the car. Now, I wouldn't normally go that mad with wet washing, but like I say, it's really just because there's loads of contaminants on the paint, and it would be the first clean of the season, but obviously we're mid-June now. I would have usually been doing this much earlier on in the year. Right then, back to the important bit. So we're probably going to do more than just clay in the car. I've just had a look over, especially the bonnet and the sort of top surfaces on the car. There's quite a few scratches in the paint. So after I've clayed it, I'm probably going to machine polish it with Farecla G10 on a medium pad, and then we're going to paste wax it, but just in the areas where it's really scratched up and swelled up. But the main purpose of today is using the clay kit, getting the contamination out of the paint, and yeah, preparing the surface ready for a nice polish. So these kits are available. I bought this one from Halfords actually. It wasn't any cheaper to get it on eBay or online anywhere. Halfords had a 20% off sale, and sometimes it works out more cost effective that way. So it's normally about 30 quid this kit, and it was £23.99 I think with Halfords 20% off, which is not bad value. So what you get in it, you get a nice microfiber cloth. It's a good quality and it's quite large as well, so that's quite nice. You get, I don't know how much is in here, let's have a look. So it's 473, nearly 500 ml of quick detailer, mist and wipe. That's there to act as a lubricant between the clay bar and the surface. And you get then two 80-gram packets of clay bar. So one clay is easily enough to do one whole car. You can probably do, I don't know, there'll be far more expert people than me out there, but providing you, depending on how many contaminants are on the car, how much, you know, dirt is in the paint, you can reuse this. So one is easily enough to do one car. The only thing I would say is that you do not want to drop this stuff. If you drop it onto gravel or onto concrete or something like that, throw it away, because it will attract all the gravel and grit will stick into that, and you then potentially just scratch up the car. I do quite like this nice little storage box you get with it, just to keep the clays in. Yeah, it keeps them from getting dirty once you start using them. So let's get onto the car now, and we'll see how we get on. So it's always difficult because the paint always shows up better in video than it does in real life, but there are some significant scratches in this paintwork, which is why I'm going to machine polish it with G10 afterwards. They're mainly in a straight line, so they're not swirls, although swirls are generally from where you've cleaned it. These are in a straight line, so that's where stuff's been dragged over. I mean, there is, I don't know whether you'll see that, there is a massive mark up there. Hopefully they're not too deep. But as I say, the paint feels really rough, so we're going to rectify that with a clay bar, and then I'm going to machine polish it afterwards. Now, I am no valeting expert, and someone out there might say, well, there's no point claying it, you might as well just machine polish it. But my thinking is, if you machine polish it and there's contaminants there, then you, especially if they're hard contaminants, then you scratch that into the paintwork and create swirls. So I'm going to clay it first. Might not be the right way to do it. That's the way I'm going to do it though. And I'm going to machine polish it and then polish it afterwards. We'll do the old half the bonnet first. Obviously this job is going to take, in total, it's probably going to take 4 or 5 hours to do the whole car, if not longer. I'm not going to do the whole lot. We'll just get the bonnet done. Right, so that didn't take long, but as you can see, that car was cleaned before we've clayed it, and that's what the clay looks like after just doing half the bonnet. So that's all the contaminants in the paint. Now obviously once you've done a bit, you just fold it and knead it and get a clean bit off and get it clean. I would always recommend having your little box here at this stage to put your clay in so it doesn't get dropped anywhere. It's also important to have clean hands when you're doing this, because the clay will pick up contaminants on your hand as well. You can feel the difference already, you really can. Right, so there we go. It's been clay barred. It's then been machine polished with Farecla G10, then some G3 wax, and then Maguiars paste wax. And there are still some scratches in it. I might be able to get them out if I wet flat it and then machine polish it, but I don't want to risk wet flatting it. Without a paint thickness gauge, I do not know how thick this paint is. And although P.L.'s a lovely car, it's done 105,000 miles, so I don't know how old this paintwork is. Like I say, I don't want to risk it. There are some scratches in it, but yeah, reflects its age, I think. So thanks for watching this week. I'm not going to sit here and do a whole video on the whole car. There are plenty of detailing channels out there if you want to go and watch other guys doing it. I'm just going to spend the next probably 4 or 5 hours, get the rest of the car done, and in the next update I think we'll be taking it for an MOT and getting some shots of the paintwork once it's all finished.